Okay, tonight's Chabura is sponsored by the Liebman family in honor of Mark's grandfather, Nachum ben Shmuel Elio, and Shama should have an aliyah. We're going to move a little weiter. We got up to the last Sigah Chav Gimel Beis, we finished, and there's a bit of a Gadata on Chav Dalet Amud Aleph. Fascinating Agadta about the Makoros of the concept of Bavel, and a very important Tosfos at the top of the daf, which introduces Shitas Rabbeinu Tam, minig of the yeshivas, not to learn Tanakh, and to learn Talmud Bavli, and include the chiyuvim of Shlish B'Mikra, Shlish B'Mishnah, Shlish B'Talmud, through an irbuv of Babylonian, Bavel, Blula, of Mikra, Mishnah. Shitas HaRambam probably is not like that. The Rambam learns the din Kipshuto, there's a din Shlish B'Mikra, Shlish B'Mishnah, that you should split up your days like that, but that is the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam. And a little bit of a Gadata about Gaivan, Gasas Ruach, and how that was divided up throughout the world. So we're going to start the next Mishnah on Chav Dalet Amud Aleph. This Mishnah is a fascinating Mishnah. The Mishnah tells us something that we've been assuming is not necessarily always correct. We always assume that there are limitations. There are certain people that are outside the box, certain people that are not valid, unacceptable for both Eidus and Dayanis if they are either puzzled because of wrongdoings or because they just don't lack kashrus, because they are ktanim, because they are women, because they are goyim. So the Mishnah says that that's not the case. Amar lo. If a guy has a case, a court case, that he's litigating with another person, Amar lo, Neman alai, if they have an issue and they decide, Neman alai Abba, your father will be believed for us as either a dayan or an aid. Neman alai Avicha, or I say to the other party, Neman alai Avicha, your father will be the person who will decide our issue. Neman alai Shlosha Ra'oi Bakar, or we say that the three dayanim will be three people that are invalid because they are shepherds. Says the Gemara, Rav Meir Omer Yachol Lachserbo, V'chachamim Omer Eino Yachol Lachserbo. No one debates that you're able to do this. The question is, am I locked into this? Meaning, what happens? Okay, I got him to the judgment. I got him to where I wanted to, and now it turns out, oh no, they decided not in my favor. Now I want to back out. This is ridiculous. These guys are psulim. They don't even know what they're talking about. It's very likely that I'm going to say, why is any of this binding? So Rav Meir says, you're right, Yachol Lachserbo. V'chachamim omrim eino Yachol Lachserbo. No, it's binding, and you can't back out from anything that was said. If what happens if a person was obligated to take a swear, va'amar lo dor li b'chaye roshcha, and he says to him a lashon of shvua, and Reb Meir Omer Yachol Lachserbo v'chomer Omer Yachol Lachserbo, similarly that they can't Yachol Lachserbo v'lishol shvua gemura. Can you, if you offered him to say, I'm not going to make you take the real classic shvua with a shame, but I'm only going to make you take dorli b'chaye roshi, a lower level of a shame. Are you locked into it? Are you not locked into it? That is a similar machlokes Reb Meir Chacham. And one really has to ask the basic question: what in the world is going on in this Mishnah? How is this possible? This is against everything we've assumed. Why do suddenly these invalid situations become kosher? So, before we resolve that, which is really the kasha of the night, I'd like to introduce you to a tshuva or Reb Kiva Eger. Oh boy, I gotta take photography class a little bit. I don't know. This is okay. Reb Kiva Eger has the following shaila in Siman Kuf Ayin Tes. If you could try to read the first paragraph. Va'asher nistapek chosni harav. Kibel alav karavu pasol. Obeys psulim. I can't even read the next word. V'chasmu, I think. Im chayavin bedin hazama o malchus came the ein shem edus alehem. What's Reb Kiva Eger's shaila? Reb Kiva Eger asks a shaila, would there be a din hazama in our Mishnah? Okay?
They're not zomin in their own right. They're zomin because of who you are.
No, what happens in a case where there's hazama? Means the other you. Vahuzmu. That makes sense. Yeah, that's good. That's an important word. Vahuzmu. Eitan, that was the missing word. That answers your question. Meaning, in a case where we accepted them as Eidim, but they're it's a guy. What Parshas Hazama by a guy? Yeah.
So is this operating to the normal rule?
That's exactly what Reb Kiva Eger is clearing. L'chora, that's his suffix. Is this operating through the normal rules of Bezdin, or is it not operating? And what is going on in our Mishnah? That is basically, in a backhanded way, what Reb Kiva Eger is ultimately going to discuss.
Why is the question? I'm trying to see.
How does this work? Meaning it's
Why
pasha.
is that connection?
It's
there a connection?
Well, I'm asking you. What are you assuming? I don't know which way you're assuming.
No, what I'm assuming.
What is your question?
My question is.
Yeah.
Why is there a question? There is.
I understand that, but I don't understand which side you're saying when you say that.
The fact that I'm accepting the ed.
Yeah. So he's an aid.
What this has to do, it's mutually exclusive. The fact if I can, if someone can come and do a zamat, or
so just answer my simple question. Your assumption is that there is hazama or there isn't hazama?
Why not?
Oh, interesting. So you have someone. So your assumption is that okay, good, excellent. Everyone agree with Adi?
What does it matter?
No, I hear. No, I hear. That's it's fascinating. I mean, once he's an aid, he's an aid. So all Parshas Eidos should apply. So now, if I would continue to ask you, there's a din in the Gemara in Shavuos that if I know Eidos for someone and I don't testify, im lo yagid, the pasuk in Vayikra says, im lo yagid v'nasa avono, that if I know Eidos, right? So and I take a shvua that I know Eidos, right? Then I'm chayiv, and it's also for me not to testify. So you would say that also in a case of our Mishnah also, that the korban shvuas Eidos, if a person sweared falsely that he doesn't know Eidos when he actually does and he admitted it, so you would have to bring a korban also, such a person, even if it's a woman, even if it's yeah.
Or you assume that the reason they're pasol Eidos, or one reason they're pasol Eidos, is because they do not or cannot understand the halachos of Eidos. So in that case, they're out of the parsha of Hazama.
No one's pasol Eidos if they can't understand Eidos. You're not expected to know Hilchos Eidos to be an aid.
He's only bringing up the ability to be chazer just under these circumstances, or any aid you have that option.
Well, we didn't even.
He's giving specific examples here. He says you can be chazer, you cannot be chazer.
Who? Reb Kiva Eger?
No.
In the Mishnah? Yeah. No, the Mishnah is talking about the litigants being choser. Meaning, I said we had a court case, and I said at the beginning.
Your father, his father,
because they're puzzle.
Whatever. But other regular aid,
no, I don't have the ability to be choser from that. No, we start off the case and we say, listen, your father knows about the story between us, so I accept him to be an aid, right? Then what happens? They're about to paskin. He realized his case is going down the tubes. So what is his automatic reaction? Be like, this is a joke. He's a pasal aid. So am I locked in or am I not? That's a machlokas or meir and chacham. But the fact that it works, everyone agrees to the fact that it works. So now, says Reb Kiva Eger, okay, so now let's take it to the next level. What happens to those aidim if they get hasamified? If they're proven to be liars? Does that parsha apply or not? Next question. The Mishnah Rosh Perek Shvuas Eidis. De'enu noheges b'noshim u'bekravim. What does the Mishnah in the beginning of the fourth parak of Shvuas say? This parsha of Shvuas Ha'edus is not found by Krovim and by Noshim. That's the statement of the Gemara. Frekt Reb Kiva Eger, really? Why isn't it found, the korban Shvuas Ha'edus, by Noshim and by Krovim? What's his kasha going to be? Because we can't read it inside. So, this Mishnah. Why don't you set up a case? Why didn't the Gemara say that in a case where you have people that we set up to begin with, Neman alay Abba, Neman alay Avicha, Neman alay Aisha Azos, even Psulim, that they are good Eidim, that's a situation where even Psulim are going to be kosher Eidus, and they're going to be Chayav a Korban Shavuos Eidus. So we don't understand the statement, the blanket statement of the Mishnah in the fourth parak. So says Reb Kiva Eger, and I'll prove it to you. The Koshali, the second line of the second paragraph. Ha'amrinan sham hakol molden be'edei tuma, hakol molden be'edei misa. And don't tell me, I'll tell you why, because it doesn't apply to one aid. Because it does apply to one aid. By aid tuma, which is kina yitztira, which the Torah says one aid works to aser a woman on her husband, or aid misa, which is what? Iguna, which were meko, which we spoke about a few weeks ago. Wow, you're not going to believe it. A few weeks ago, we spoke about the din of Kol Makom Shemina Torah Eirechad Arei Kushnayim. Got a Shiloh last week, crazy Shiloh. Shatnez case about one aid says there was Shatnez in a code, and then another aid comes to argue with the first aid, and it was all totally on our sugya of Kol Makom Shemina Torah Eirechad Arei Kushnayim. Sorry about that tangent. Fine. Mamish halacha l'maisa. So the moral of the story is don't buy velvet jackets. You know, something that's not so no. So yeah, so no, not so no gay Russ. It was a shiloh in another town. So v'akol modem be'ed misa. So the din is by eid misa and eid tuma that what? That there is carbon shvuos edus. V'im kain frekter b'kiveger mishkacha shvu edus b'nashim u'b'krovim b'hanach mili. If nashim are krovim are neman in those areas, so why isn't there shvuos edus? Tzarich loimer. So it says Reb Kiveger, the inyan shvuos edus who rak be'ed kosher. Says Reb Kiveger. No, maybe you could say like this: shvuos edus was only said by an eid kosher. By an aid puzzle, you don't say it. The shem eidus alei l'kol mili, because in other areas you could find him to be made as a kosher aid. Vani kairabo v'hu aid, because you can now read the pasuk in Parshas Vayikra v'hu imlo yeged v'hu aid v'nasa avono. But by an isha, she's not an aid, so therefore she doesn't have that dimension of carbon shvuas eidus. El de'id echad im magid eno mol v'tzarech lo tzirif v'macher b'zeh hechadim haya magid haya mol. So it starts with Kiva Eger, and he says, perhaps you can make the chiluk as follows. Why did the Gemara say a blanket statement by Noshan that there's no carbon shvuos eidus? That's because they're namon, but they're not vahu aid. They're not a kosher aid. They just have namonis that's believed in those areas. But in a chanami, if you have a situation where it's one aid in those areas, and he happens to be an aid kosher, so then you'll say that he will be chayav a carbon shvuos eidus, even in areas where he's namon as one and not als two. Aval bekarvo pasal the ain shem eidus alav el de besaite emino satira vanemaz machmas daide kiner istiru raglayim ledaver v'nikar shemes kain v'chein beidus misa de mikach daika nikar shemes kain bezel leiken carbon shvuah the local berenam bay v'huweit. So that's the chiluk that he's making. Perhaps you can make a distinction between an aid kosher where they're naman alone, that's a din eidus, and therefore there be a carbon shvuos eidus, and an aid puzzle where it's not v'huweit, so then they're nemon because there's a leniency, but they'll never have the carbon of shvuos eidus.
Isn't the difference between a puzzle and a carbon? Essentially, can't you compare an egg?
You're saying like this var, you should say v'hu eid applies to a karav.
Exactly.
Right.
Because
So you're saying like the svara of the Gemara in Chav Gimel and Beis. Kaven de chazi la'alma, since they would be good for others. So right. So I guess the Vart Rabbi Kiva Eger is assuming that by this Eidus, you would not be machalik between a karva puzzle, but I hear your svar. It's an interesting svar.
Is our Mishnah talking about puzzle or talking about karva?
Our Mishnah is talking about both. Everything. You could accept anyone. Okay. So listen, so now, that's Rabbi Kiva Eger so far is talking by Shavuos Eidus. Again, his original kasha was not by Shavuos Eidus. He's gleaning from Shavuos Eidus and the carbon of Shavuos Eidus to now discuss his shaila about where, in our Mishnah, where you're mekabel them, do you have azama? So let's skip the next paragraph, which goes on in Shavuos Eidus. Ulefize, right? You have it, the next page. Ulefize yesh lemer, the kibel alav cover of apostle. Our Mishnah, where he accepts a car of apostle, Eino chayav korban shvuah. He's not going to be mechayav a korban shvuah. Why? According to Rabbi Kiva Eger's lumdis, he says, because I just made the chiluk for you. When he's a v'hu, that's where there's korban shvuah se'edus. Even though he's nemon by soita and by iguna, even if it's an isha or it's a apostle or it's a karov, but it can't be v'hu eid, so therefore carbon shvuas eidus wouldn't apply. The mikom kom lav shem eidus Allah. Aval kibel alav eid echad. What about in our case, where he was mekabel one aid to decide the whole din? Leos kibeis. Kavan the shame aid olav. What would you say in that? What would Rabbi Akiva Eiger say in that story? Our Mishnah, and you're makabel an aid, but the aid is kosher. It's not a karov or apostle. It's one aid to act as two. Would there be shvuas eidus? According to Rabbi Akiva Eiger's logic right now, l'chayra there should be shvuas eidus, because that's an aid kosher. There you could say v'hu aid. V'gama ilu magid hayamayel yesh bo din shvuas eidus. That's what Rabbi Akiva Eiger thinks. V'ochanami efsher b'nidoin dida in the next paragraph. Liya leinin chiyav hazama. Dichsiv v'hine eid sheker ha'eid v'asisem v'chein loisada b'recha eid shaker yishlomer dafke k'shem eid olav v'kibel of karv apostle ein shem eid olav v'hine mischayev ha'azama al kilo v'lev eid echad kebeis yesh loy din hazama. So Dr. Rabbi Akiva Eiger, my chiluk is now going to we're going to split within our Mishnah. If you're makabel one aid to act in the placement of two, so then there would be hazama and there would be carbon shvuas ha'edus. But if you would hold what? That you're being makabel apostle, or you're being makabel an isha or karov, then it wouldn't be v'hu eid. So just like there wouldn't be carbon shvuas ha'edus, there wouldn't be hazama. It's talking about both. The Gemara is going to say it's talking about both. Right. I think so, yeah. Oh, excellent. You were getting there. Excellent. So far, Rabbi Akiva Eiger never said anything about that. I like what you're saying. Exactly. Rabbi Akiva Eiger is assuming not like that. But then, that's Rabbi Akiva Eiger's psak, and that sounds like what he's going with. But then Rabbi Akiva Eiger, in his intellectual honesty... What do you mean? Why what? Why would Sota, why would an Ish...
I guess that would be
You're asking what case?
I guess our Mishnah.
Why should our Mishnah work?
Yeah.
Because we accepted it.
Why does it matter?
I think what you're trying to say is, how in the world can you accept this? There's a Gemara in Bava Basra that says, you don't have the ability to stipulate things against the Dinei Torah. So if he's puzzle, he's puzzle. So who are you to decide that he's kosher? Gewalt. Excellent. We're going to answer all these questions. Excellent.
What about a katan?
Same thing. Not only that, katan we'll come back to in a second. There's a tshuva, two tshuvas before this. Remind me to get back to katan. Katan will be the same thing, but we'll go back to katan in a second. Let's go to the second to last paragraph. Acher kach. But after this whole shtikol Torah, nizkarti, I remembered, those days that you remember, there's a ran tucked away in Shavuos. Acher kach nizkarti deharan Shavuos, hevi Yerushalmi. Be'ed echad she'omer le harei at mekubal aleinu kishnayim. Ein bo chiyav Shavuos ha'edis. So I remember there's a Ran that quotes Yerushalmi that says everything that I just said specifically is wrong. Like Mamish talks about this very din. But the Gemara says by Eid Saita and Misa that it is. So he says, yeah, fine, by Eid Saita and Misa that's true. But, says Rabbi Akiva Eiger, but when it comes to our Mishnah, Kibbul of Kishnayim, it's not a din Eidus, and therefore there would not be Hazama and there would not be Shavuos Eidus. Tasam Chacham Yeminu v'Shem Eidus alav, Masha Enken Kibbul alav Achar Kebez. The midin eno kebez afilu midrabanan. So Rabbi Akiva Eiger L'maisa comes out like that. Although this was what he was building up, it's a gavaldik chiluk that maybe you would say that an eid kosher has a din eidus, just like Saita and Iguna, where the Gemara says beferish that there's a carbon shvuas eidus even on one eid over there. Says Rabbi Akiva Eiger, but bottom line the Ran says I'm wrong. Sota and Iguna was where the Torah gave ne'emonis to one aid, and therefore there's carbon shvuas eidus. But for our Mishnah, kiblu alayhu, there would not be any hazama, there would not be shvuas eidus, which would mean what? L'chayra Rabbi Akiva Eiger is coming to tell us that this is not working through making him an aid. Yesh lachgor. When you start our Mishnah, which is basically what I was driving at, which Rabbi Kiva Eger is being choker. Do the Dine Eidos apply? Does Hazama apply? Does Korban Shvuas Eidos apply? Are you taking a puzzle aid and being machshir an aid? So Rabbi Kiva Eger is saying maybe, at least by a kosher aid, he was suggesting for majority of the tshuva. Perhaps you're now saying one aid is like two, and therefore there would be Parshas Eidos and all the Dinei HaTorah would apply. And then Rabbi Kiva Eger, because he finds a Ran, he says you can't say that, but Sota and Iguna are the exception to the rule. So what is this? So how is it working? So Taisus in Baba Metzia says exactly what Itai was suggesting, that this is Dinei Mominus. And in Dinei Mominus, the Gemara itself says that you have the ability to make a Tanai in Dinei Mominus, Kol Masna al Masha Kotzav B'Torah Chutz Mi Dinei Mamon Shetno Kayim. I have the ability to make a Tanai, even though that's not the regular Torah. I can make the details of my contract for Dinei Mominus, and that is the suggestion. And I can make it's like, just like I can be Meichel, you owe me money, I can be Meichel on the money. So we can decide to do a weird type of Mechila. If he decides to do that and decide, and even though he's a puzzle, so I'm not going through the regular rules and regulations of Dinei Torah with the halacha of Hilchos Eidos, with the halacha of Hilchos Bezdin. If you accept like this, which is a question that the Minchas Chinuch raises, what would be the din outside of the world of Eidos? We spoke about Hazama, we spoke about Korban Shvuas Eidos, but let's ask the question, says the Minchas Chinuch, in the world of Dayanos. In such a situation where Neman Alai Gimel Roi Bakar, or Neman Alai 3 Nashim to be Dayanim, would there be an Isser to take Sheichad? Well, if you're understanding that it's working through the regular rules and regulations of Dinei HaTorah, and now the Mishnah on Chavdalim and Aleph is telling me, through our Kabbalahs, we have the ability to now make them into Dayanim Ksherim because we were makabel them on ourselves. So then what? So then l'chayra, the regular Yisurim should apply, and Sheichad should apply, like Rabbi Kiva Eger assumed in the beginning of the tshuva. But if you understand, no, it's just a Tnai and Dinei Mamonis, and I really don't even need Eidim and Dayanim technically to be Meichel on my Mamon, and we can make any contract we want because this is the world of Dinei Mamonis. But outside of Dinei Mamonis, I would have never suggested such a thing. So l'chayra, the regular rules and regulations, just like Hazama and Shvuas Eidos should not apply, so too the Isser of Sheichad should not apply. Yeah.
Why are you even saying that you're making them like Dayanim? You're flipping a card and saying whatever the heads or tails, that'll decide if you're high or putter. That's what it is. So it's you're Neman Alai. I'm not making you into Dayanim. Whatever you guys say, whatever you women say, that's the difference.
Right, but for some reason, the Minchas Chinuch and Rabbi Kiva Eger had another tzad that maybe this was a way to revive psulim, and there was a serious tzad that actually.
It could be Dayanim, like Rabbi Kiva Eger said, it could be an aid.
Right.
The person could be a Dayanim.
Oh, if they would be able to be a kosher. You're saying maybe make a chiluk between one and one kosher and 3. But by apostle adayin, like Rabbi Kiva Eger never even assumed that you would never be able to say by sheichad b'reitu. Right.
Does the Ran disagree with this too?
The Ran doesn't talk about sheichad. Right. Yeah, but l'chari, what Abe's saying is you can't say more than Rabbi Kiva Eger. You can't take apostle and make it a kosher. Maybe you can only do that within numbers. But even within numbers, if it's against the Dinei HaTorah, it's very hard. The problem is, to be honest, there's a rush that Rebbe Chanan points out. If you see on the next side, no, this is the next side of the Shulchan Aruch. His top says Kaivetz Ha'aris. He quotes a fascinating rush. This is a rush in the 12th parak of Yevamis. The 12th parak of Yevamis is Mitzvahs Chalitza. So the Gemara there talks about all the dinim of Chalitza, that if a woman dies and a husband dies and leaves a woman without children, so what we do now is she takes off her shoe and she spits and she does chalitza, which is ke'ein, a cutting off of the quasi marriage, the zika, that the connection that exists to the brother from after the death. So the Gemara wants to know the dayanim for such a chalitza. Can you have a ger to be one of the dayanim? So the Gemara in Mitzvahs Chalitza quotes a pasuk to say that you can't have a ger to be the dayan. Now, we didn't learn the details, but the Gemara has a discussion that gerim are in general not kosher to be dayanim, outside of being judging a ger chavero, ger donas chavero a ger, but to judge a regular Yisrael happens to deal with the issue of srara and positions that a ger can't have. But the Gemara quotes a pasuk, Mekarav Achecha, that the ger can't be a dayan for chalitza. So the Rishonim, all in the beginning of the 12th parak of Sanhedrin, of Yevamis, ask, what do you need a pasuk that a ger can't be a dayan for chalitza? A ger is a pasuk a dayan. He can't judge other things either. So why do I need an additional pasuk for mitzvahs chalitza? So look at the top line of the Kavitz Aris. You just summarized. V'arash teretz, the itzrichra shehecha shekiblu alelim, the bedinim amanis mahani kabbalah, right? Kedisnan chavdalim and Sanhedrin chavdalim now no lai ba'aba. V'ashmin and krod the b'chalitza lo mahani kabbalah. Itai, what's the rush talking about? This is outside of the world of dinim amanis. This is the world of chalitza, and yet the rush is saying that I need a pasuk to tell me that a ger is pasul for chalitza, because I would have thought he's kosher in a situation where we said, oh no, I'm makabel him as a dayan. Means in the world of Isser v'heter, I'm now saying, and outside of Dinei Mamonis, I'm now saying a Kabbalah works and revives a pasul dayan to be a kosher dayan. The chen kasav taisis nida v'tema asher v'chonan. The had mahanya Kabbalah b'Dinei Mamonis hu mitam shemaychol loy memoinai oy mitam hoida. Person could be moide, I could be moide that I owe you money, I don't need dayanim, I don't need eidim, I could just be mechayiv myself, I could admit. Or because I'm mochel to you. Ava b'chalitza, that's not dinei momenis. Lo shayach klal atam hazeh la'achsher psulam ha'yidei kabbalah.
He's not going to divulge anything, he's just observing.
Yeah, but he's a dayan. He's a dayan. He's observing also under your chuppah. Would you say that he'd be kosher? He without him, it's nothing. L'chor muchach mizeh, says Rabbi Chanan, the Kabbalah mahanya la'achshir es apsulim. V'loi mitam mechilu. Unbelievable. The pashtus Rabbi Isai. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there only one type of dayan in the world? I mean, if you're hoskening, two versus one in a case, or whatever, whether so, is that exactly the same as by chalitza, where you're literally just, you're present, and you're not actually deciding anything?
You want to know, is there a difference between roles of dayanis?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a difference between roles of dayanis. We said such a svar at the beginning of Sanhedrin. Mamish, this was like probably the third or fourth shir that we had about a passive bezdin versus an active bezdin, that we spoke about legabe the chilukim of whether or not you would need mumchin or not to be miyashiv a shver shitas harambam, and how he paskins legabe smicha bezman hazeh and needing mumchin. But and that might be true, but I don't think that will help for psulim. I think in any time you need a bezdin and it's puzzle, there's a chiddush over here that the fact that Yer can be a revive a puzzle. He doesn't qualify. He doesn't qualify.
If you say chalitza has some form of dinei mamonos aspect to it, because without actually getting married or having yibum, I mean, there's still a nisr there. I mean,
What?
if you're doing for chalitza,
There's an issur, right?
but even before, unless they do yibum, they can't be together either. So
Right. So why is that dinei mamonos?
So it's not chalitza may just be like separating as opposed to like you're not actually like removing. The isser's still there.
That's not dinei mamonos. It's like a get.
Well, I mean, I guess what's the question of being?
It's like a get. A get's on dinei mamonos. This is Evan Ezer. This needs dayanim. This is Makaris that needs dayanim. It's a fascinating rush. But you see that, at least from the Tshuva Reb Kiva Eger, and you see the pashtus is like you were saying that it's a chiddush in dinei mamonos. But you see from Reb Kiva Eger's suffix, and you see from actually what the way he assumed until he found the Ran, and you see from the Rosh La'alacha that it's not true, that the Mishnah might be saying something unbelievable, that you're actually able to revive certain psulim as long as before the Din Torah you were a makabel, and it needs really explanation why someone has the ability to do that. What happened to the din of Masna al Mashkaz of B'Torah that these psulim apply? Meaning,
So what's Pshat on the Meir, the Mishnah, is that you're transforming this person into a kosher dayan as long as you're okay with it.
right? You have to continuously
It's
be
much simpler if you say
mekayim.
it's like,
It's a mechila. to Mechila, so you be chayzer from your Mechila. Right, but even that, Rav Meir, so what's pshat? Lamaisa, you were Meichel, so why should you be able to back out?
Because you're no longer Mochel.
Okay, if I'm Meichel to you, if I say like this, Itai, you don't owe me anymore, and then I say, you know what, I decided not to. I don't have to be able to do that.
No, but it's not.
It's chal.
There hasn't been a final verdict in the case yet, so as long as there hasn't been a
Okay,
verdict.
okay, fine.
No, but I'm saying
Right.
Substantially, I can change my mind.
Right, exactly, right.
if you're transforming them
Yeah,
into real legitimate
right,
dying, then,
right. Right.
I get it.
I guess you would have to say that it's only on the assumption that we agree to it at the end, that we're staying with our
That's
agreement.
implicit anytime that you
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what Meir has to assume. But the critical kasha is, how does it even get off the ground? How does it even start? But
The case would ever finish this way, because one of the
according to
one of
Meir,
the other's gonna
right?
back out.
According to Meir, right. It's going to be a difficult avenue. Yeah. But lemaisa lefi chachamim. Okay, take chachamim. Chacham hold you ein yachal achzerbo. So you mamish have the ability halachically to revive apostle aid, to revive apostle adayin. It's wild. That's why the pashtus is like Taisis Mamitzia, and to say that this is a svara within Mechila, and that this is like a kinyan in Mamonis, but to say it outside of Dinei Mamonis, but as Rabbi Chanan points out, it's not the universal opinion, and there might be something much more incredible going on in this Mishnah. Fascinating. Okay, but we're going to assume like Reb Kiva Eger that you're not going through the regular Dinei Atayra, and there would not be Hazama, and there would not be Karban Shavuos Eidus, and you're still apostle, and it's just a din in Mam, and L'chari you can give Sheikhad, yeah. Amar Avdimi Bereder of Nachman. Yeah. Amar Avdimi Bereder of Nachman. Bereder of Yosef. Kegoin de Kable Alei Bechad. What does the Gemara say? Rav Dimi qualifies our Mishnah, and Rav Dimi says, by the way, we're talking about a situation that you were Makabel Bechad. So what does Rashi say? Makabel Bechad. Makabel Bechad Dayona. Rashi says, what's Rav Dimi's chiddush? Rab Meir holds you could back out from what you were machayiv yourself. Rab Meir holds you can back out even though technically there's only one problem over here. One of the dayans are problematic and the other two are kosher dayan. Even in a situation of kiblei alei b'chad, you could still back out, right? Taisus, see the bottom Taisus. Amar Rav Dimi can the kiblei alei b'chad. Perish kuntrus. Da afilu hachi kamer. Rav Meir the yachal lachzerbo. So the Rashi said the chiddush of Rav Dimi was in Rabbi Meir. But what? But that even Rav Meir holds you can be chayzer even if all that was going against this bezdin was one reusa, was one problem. V'loy nehira, and I don't agree to Rashi. The kevan de l'rebusa nakte havale lemeimar loy tzricha. Since he's saying a chiddush, I would have had him say loy tzricha. The kamer kegoin mashba the dafka kaamar kegoin de kabla lebechad al kei nire, meaning Taisus is saying, what did Rabbi Dimi say? Rabbi Dimi said a lashon of kegoin. Lashon of kegoin means only in this case, not in any other case. But if Rabbi Meir is saying even in this case, a chiddush Rabbi Meir, even in this case yachol achzerbo, so then it should say what? Loy tzricha. It should say a lashon that's mashma that we're saying a chiddush in Rabbi Meir. Rav Dimi doesn't sound like he's saying a chiddush. It sounds like Rav Dimi is saying a limitation. Okay. Ela going to kabel levachad al kain nire. So says Taisus. Therefore, I disagree with Rashi, and I think the chiddush of Rav Dimi is like what the kiblei alei bachad nire dal milsayu d'Rabbanan koi. It's going on the machmir opinion. Who's the machmir opinion? The opinion of Rabbanan that say Eino yochel achzerbo. When is it Eino yochel achzerbo? Says Rav Dimi, kagon. It's only Eino yochel achzerbo. Only in this case. It's not a chiddush. It's limited to which case? To the case where there's only one reusa, where it's chad el reusa, where it's kibul alei b'chad. Which means what? The dafka go into kibul alei b'chad. The chad el reusa udika kamri Rabbanan. Eino yochel achzerbo. Avli kabul alei kabitrei yochel achzerbo. After Rabbanan cave in the katark el reusa. But if there's two things going bad in this bezdin or in this situation of Eidos, then what? Rabbanan would say what? Yachol Achzer Bo, you can back out. Now, this sounds like a technicality, sounds like just a Machloikas Rashi Tosfos how to understand the Gemara. It's not. This is a nafkamina lahalacha in Shulchan Aruch. Says the Shulchan Aruch. Doesn't make a difference, I think the Lashon of the Mechaber, it doesn't make a difference whether it's Chadil Reisa or it's Tartil Reisa. Rabbanan hold Eino Yachol Achzer Bo. We paskin like Rabbanan against Rabbi Meir. Eino Yachol Achzer Bo. You got to stick to what you're Machayev, what you obligated yourself, there's no changes. Comes along the Ramah, and the Ramah says, Yeshaimrim. When did the Rabbanan say Ein Yachol Achzer Bo? By what? By Chadil Reisa. But in a case of Tartil Reisa, where you accepted that the aid or the dayan is going to now replace two psulim, then what? Then that's going to be what? Yachol Achzer Bo. And even though we paskin like Rabbanon, since Tosfos said Rav Dimi was a qualification in the Rabbanon's opinion, Tartil Reisa, this Tosfos that sounds like a technicality, is going to affect halacha, and now even Rabbanon you're allowed to back out if it was representing a double whammy, a double problem. Now, what are examples of double problems? So that's why I said to you we're going to come back to Kata. There is a tshuva, two tshuvas before this in Siman Kuf Ayin Ches. One case of Tartil Reisa I can give you just an easily. Let's say you're Makabel and Isha, and that Isha represents 3 dayanim. That's Tartil Reisa. Or that Isha, I accept 1 instead of 2. That's Chadil Reisa. And she happens to be Apostle Aid. So that's Tartil Reisa. There's 2 strikes against her. So Shlomo Eger had a tshuva that he wrote to his father, Reb Kiva Eger, and he said, why does Rashi have to give 2 different reasons why a katan is Apostle Aidis? One is that it's not an Ish. The Pasuk says, V'amdu shnei anoshim. And the other reason is because it's what? Is because it's Eidish Yata Elach Hazima. He can never get punished, so therefore you can never fulfill Hazama. Why do you need both of those reasons? So Reb Kiva Eger answers him, the reason is because by a katan it will be Tartil Reisa. Because there will be 2 psulim. It's number 1, it's Eidish Yata Elach Hazima, and it's also because, now that's not so poshut. Why? That's different. That's not 2, what? What? Why? Yeah, l'chayra by kibbutz. I mean, that was Rabbi Kiva Eger Shaila, right? Would there be hazama in our case?
Oh, I'm saying from the angle of she'ed v'shiyatayachol lazima.
Right. So aid. Right. So that's Rabbi Kiva Eger Shaila. But a katan is never able to be punished, right? A katan can never get that. So that chiddush Rabbi Kiva Eger to say that. Let's say Rabbi Kiva Eger is assuming. Let's say you have an aid, happens to be a gazlan, and he happens to also be a relative. Would that be, or he's a gazlan, and he's also, other psulim that we're going to learn later, a mummer or something else, some other. At the end of the day, he's got chadil reisa. He's apostle aid. How many strikes again? We're going to go through the Dinei HaTorah and see how many things he has against him. He's apostle aid. Tartil reisa is it's apostle aid, and it's now another problem with the aid or the bezin. It's not 2. Not so fast that would be Tartil Reisa. Yeah.
He's starting off with Tartil Reisa. You accept him, and then we say you could be Yilachsor because
it was so many bad. Yeah.
But you accepted him even when knowing the 2. It wasn't a gradual. Oh, I
yeah,
do this.
Yeah.
I can understand if you want to say,
Yeah,
you found out to boot. It's this.
Right.
Forget it.
Right. So the Rishonim say, why would you say this? So that you have to say, they say a lashon of it was like a guzma ba'alma. The guy says so many races. Obviously I was joking. That's what I could say. Obviously I was joking.
Okay.
I was a guzma ba'alma. It was an exaggeration. I have so many strikes against it. There's no way you could take me seriously on that. So Rabbanan think you could back out on that. Yeah, Mark.
In case of Avodah to be Mechayev, does it need to be 3-0? All 3 dayanim have to.
No.
2-1.
Yeah. So Rabbi Isai, there is a fascinating discussion in the Smachloikas, the Sma and the Shach. Again, assuming like this Ramah, right? The Ramah you have over here in Siman Chav Beis, in the middle of the Ika Tarta Leirusa Afrila Achak Mardin Yachal Achzer Bo, right? The Ramah is paskening like Tosfos. That we pasken that Rabbanan only said Eina Yachal Achzer Bo when where? It was only Chadil Reisa. But by Tarta Reisa, such in a situation, Tosfos says even the Rabbanan would hold Yachal Achzer Bo, so the Ramah is paskening like Tosfos against the Ramah. So what happens in the following situation? You have, the Sma says, if you were makabel a kosher dayan, b'makom gimel. I say, we decide that this one dayan is going to be kosher for us instead of 3 dayan. So the Sma says that their Tosfos wouldn't say that Rabbanon would say you could be chayzer. The ein zet tartel reisa. And on that, the Shach argues, and the Shach over here, the Shach is in Sifkat and Beis. Kasav Sma v'zel l'shono nira dim kibel alav kosher echad b'makom gimel. You accepted 1 dayan instead of 3. Loi mikre tartel reisa. That's not considered 1 tartel reisa. Right? Where does he argue? 1 second. The ein nirali came. And he disagrees. So what do you have over here, everybody? So you have 1 dayan, kosher dayan. And now I say, 1 dayan is going to replace what? 3 dayan. Shach says, that's considered tartel reisa, so Rabbanon hold you could back out. We paskin la'alacha, you could back out such an agreement. That would be an example of tartel reisa. Sma says that's not an example of tartel reisa. Where's the shach coming from? The shach's coming from because over here you have a specific problem. You need 3 dayanim. So now what? I'm accepting 1 to not only be 2, but also to be 3. So that's a tartel reisa. I only have 1 dayan. So that's tartel reisa. And the Sma says, at the end of the day, you have what? You have a dayan, and you don't have 3 dayanim. So that's chadel reisa. So you wouldn't be able to back out. Again, we're paskin la'alacha like Tosfos. We want to know what would be the din if I accept 1 dayan and instead of 3 dayanim. Would that be tartel reisa or would that chadel reisa? Where Tosfos says I'm not allowed to back out, and we're paskin like Tosfos in our Gemara. So what's the machlokes? So could be the following idea. I saw this idea and I thought it was a fascinating idea. It really connects to something we said a long time ago. The Gemara suggests on Daf Gimel that really Minat Torah, Rav Acha Bereder Rav Ikka said it's really kosher to have 1 dayan. Chad nami kosher, but tzedek tishbar amisecha, it's kosher to have 1 dayan. So what? The Gemara says, so why do you need 3? Gemara says, because Yoshvei Kronos. The Gemara says, right? What did the Gemara say? Yoshvei Kronos. I have Yoshvei Kronos. So in order to make sure that you're not going to have Yoshvei Kronos, so we say it to you to have 3. The Gemara says, no, when I'm attacking that you have 3 dayanim, so it's going to be impossible that one of them is not going to be learned. So if you remember, there was a discussion we quoted a few times. The Mishnah Melech had the following suffix. We always discuss, whenever you have a group of Eidim, and one of the Eidim becomes pasul, so there's halacha nimtza echem karvo pasul. One of the Eidim were batal, were pasul. All of the whole group is thrown out. The Eidus and Dela, the whole group is thrown out. Ask the Mishnah Melech, what's the din when it comes to dayanim? Do you say that all the dayanim are pasul, or do you say that no, nimtza echem karvo pasul only applies to Eidus, it doesn't apply to dayanis? That's the Mishnah Melech's discussion. So the Ktsaisa Choshen says, I have a raya from this Gemara that nimtza echem karvo pasul cannot apply to dayanim. Why? Because the Gemara is saying over here that what? The Gemara is saying over here, I'm going to be talking that what? That you should have 3 dayanim. That you should have 3 dayanim. In order that what? It's impossible that one of them is not going to be chad de gomer. Right? So ask the Ktsaisa Choshen, okay, very nice, but the 2 other dayanim are going to be invalid. They're not qualified. So you should say nimtzeh echem karvo pasul by the 2 other dayanim. So the Ktsaisa Choshen says a raya from a Gemara Gimel and Aleph in Sanhedrin that you don't say nimtzeh echem karvo pasul by dayanim. Apparently that was the assumption of the Gemara, because otherwise you should be concerned grouping those guys with the other learned dayan that would be acceptable. So there, I quoted a Rav Meir Simcha. Rav Meir Simcha says he doesn't think the Ktsaisa is right. He thinks it's a bad raya. Because again, what is the Gemara trying to accomplish?
At the end of the day, the Gemara is trying to accomplish what? At the end of the day, b'tzedek tishbar amisecha, that I should have one dayan. And the Gemara says practically, how is a way that we can ensure that you have one kosher dayan? Make sure that you have a group of 3. Efshar delespu chad de gomer. Says Rameir Simcha, when there's halacha that I need to be metzarif to eidim, that's where one goes, they all go, because I need 2 of them. So it's all nisbatel. But if there's a halacha that what? I really only need one dayan. And this is just a heichi timtza to make sure that I would have one dayan, to make sure that there's 3. There's no tziruf in the 3, says Rameir Simcha. There's no raya about the Mishnah Melech Shaila from this Gemara. That's Rameir Simcha. Tainas against the Ktos. Because fundamentally, what do you need over here? You need one dayan. So therefore, there's no halacha of tziruf over here. So there's no halacha that the whole thing's thrown out. Rabbi say, maybe you could suggest the same thing in our sugya. Perhaps that's the Nekudas HaMachloikis. When they were metakin to have 3 dayanim, was that a halacha that what? Really, I just need one dayan? I really need one kosher dayan? And therefore what? In a case of kiblu alayu ad echad apostle. So what is it? Is it a chadal reisa or is it a taital reisa? It's a chadal reisa. Because fundamentally, what do I need over here? I need one dayan. And I don't have one dayan. So if I look at the Yikar Adin, what am I missing? I'm missing that one dayan. So this is not a Tartal Reisa. That's the Shita of the Sma, perhaps. Masha'enkin, the Shita of the Shach, is that no, at the end of the day, Chacham made a takana. What was Chacham's takana? 3 dayanim. The 3 dayanim was the avenue to make sure that you're going to have Chad de Gomer. So now I don't look at what fundamentally it's based on. Lamaisa, I need 3 dayanim. If I don't have 3 dayanim, what is it? It's missing 2 and it's missing 3. It's Tartal Reisa. So perhaps that's the Nekudas HaMachloikis by Tartal Reisa, whether or not Rabbanan would allow me to be Chayzer, and whether or not I look at 1 instead of 3 would be Tartal Reisa or Chadal Reisa.